Let me say this straight. This war, it's not about what you think it is. While everyone's distracted by headlines, there's a bigger play happening behind the scenes. And the UK could be hit hard. My people, welcome back, man. Thank you for joining me again. It's just a paperboy. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been here before, then I appreciate the support. Yeah, so this week, I did say I was going to do like a weekly wrap-up. I'm not actually on schedule for it. I did plan to do it on Saturday. But, you know, life, things get in the way sometimes. And, you know, everything goes according to plan. But we're here, man. We're still here. I wanted to touch on the blunders, really, like I said, but I didn't find any blunders as such. But what I did find is more the causes and the effects of this war, the relationship that we seem to no longer have with the US. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or if that's a good thing. To be fair, there is one blunder, and it's around Trump. it just makes me laugh because how he's able to think about construction, like constructing the White House while raining hell on another country. It amazes me, man. Like, where's the soul in some of these people, man? Honestly. Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but go and grab my free 7-day reset ebook. The link is in the bio. Now let's get back to this. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, man, let's just get into it. Let me share my screen and let's get into it, man.
Here's the truth about this war that nobody wants to tell you. It isn't about toppling Iran's regime before you ask. It's about reshaping the global world order. And I think that's happening right now. And I want to tell you how Britain is staring down the barrel of a dark age we haven't seen for over 1,000.
It's always the way, though, isn't it, with war? You know, it's just always a distraction. There's always something else going on in the background. And sometimes it's not even in the background, you know. Like it seems here that Trump has made it perfectly clear, but like the report suggests, people just don't pay much attention to it. They pay more attention to the bombs. Do you know what I mean? The hellfire that he rains. And they miss the most important part. We all do.
1,000 years. This all comes, of course, as President Trump says Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran if the key shipping lane in the Strait of Hormuz.
But I'll tell you something. I tell you what's not easy or what's not hard to deny, or what is blatant, that this is all over oil, man. This is all over oil. This is all over energy. The whole thing. I feel like it started with, it started many years ago, but of late, Venezuela. And the reporter here gets into that as well. So let me just play it.
Hormuz is not reopened. Of course, lots of expletives there we have blurred out for you. But this is bigger than a headline or a Truth Social post in this war. And the evidence is not actually being kept from us. We're just blind to seeing it because nobody's talking about it. America has made no secret of its new doctrine. It is stepping back from being the world's police and repositioning itself as a powerful
When he says world police, the first thing that came to my mind was police. You're more like the world bully.
self-reliant fortress.
That is why President Trump has drawn a new strategic map from Greenland to the Gulf of America to the Panama Canal and its surrounding countries. At the Department of War, we call this strategic map the Greater North America.
Interesting stuff, isn't it? So what does America actually gain from this war before we get onto the Greater North America? Well, let's look at a map here, shall we? I'll bring this up for you. The Strait of Hormuz, you can see there, is one of the most critical energy choke points on this planet. It is also...
Let me just add, my people, that I'm not an expert on any of this. This is all new to me. When it starts getting techie like this, it's all new to me. But I do find it interesting, and I have of late. That's why I thought, you know what? Let me put together a little segment, because I'm learning as I go here. Some of these things I never knew before. But it's interesting stuff. It really is.
A whopping 45% of China's oil flowing through it. That is a lot of oil that China needs. But it isn't just Iran. Cast your minds back to January this year, where Trump effectively has now captured Venezuela and declared its oil is under their control. And if you have a look at this graph, who there in the red relies heavily on that oil? Well, it looks like China to me. Now consider the impeccable timing of all of this since January. America is right in the middle of a tariff and trade negotiation.
See, it's just about capturing the oil coming from everywhere. Literally, he's trying to capture the oil coming from everywhere. All because of, it sounds like a trade war that he has going on with China. He just wants the upper hand.
With the very stubborn and very powerful, might I add, Chinese government, who are not budging on Donald Trump's arrangements here. Well, look who's got the upper hand all of a sudden. It's America. They are now controlling the vast swathes of oil that China needs. That puts them in a very strong position going forward on these tariff agreements. And Europe is also getting hit hard a lot with this. With Russian energy totally off the table and domestic energy security weakened by this leftist obsession with net zero, Europe is becoming increasingly dependent on external oil supply and energy supply. And that puts America, again, in a very...
And I put out a TikTok not too long ago in relation to the UK and importing 40% of its gas from Norway. And it just led me to think that if we're so heavily reliant on energy from outside, but we have the same opportunity as Norway does, which is to extract oil from the North Sea, gas from the North Sea, why are we not doing it? Because when crises like this come about, we're in problems. It really doesn't make any sense to me. Like the leaders of the country, it's like they got no sense. Why not be self-sufficient? I don't get that.
Strong position, because we will soon be wholly dependent on American supplies of oil and gas. They will dictate terms and use energy as leverage, not just economically, but geopolitically too. And what do we know that they really want? Greenland. They want Greenland. They've made that very clear, and they didn't get it yet. So the longer this war drags on, the more dependent the world is becoming on the USA. And it's not accidental. What we're seeing is the emergence of what you heard from Pete Hegseth there, the Secretary of State for War, and described by Donald Trump.
And another thing that's mad now, the relationship between the US and the UK seems to be getting weaker by the day. Trump is caught up on the fact that the UK, didn't really want to get involved as much in the war as he would have wanted them to, or us to. So now that we're going to be heavily dependent on imports of oil from the US, he's going to treat us like anybody else now. You know what I mean? Whereas we were onside, it seems like now we're offside. So yeah, it's looking dark, man. It's looking dark. I watched something yesterday and someone mentioned that Farage is the only one that can rebuild that relationship. Starmer seems to have spoiled the relationship. There is no relationship now. I don't know. don't know. I don't get that deep. I'm not too sure, but yeah. It seems like we might be in some problems, man. Because we are heavily dependent on the rest of the world. Sorry. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. When we can be dependent somewhat on ourselves, we decide to take the route of being dependent on the rest of the world. I don't know. I don't run the world. I don't run the country. But if I did, I'm a man, I like to be self-sufficient. And I don't see why a country wouldn't take the same standpoint. But who am I? So yeah, that's one part. Let me go. I've got something here. This made me laugh. This made me laugh. I thought, wow. One, there's starving people in the world. Starving children in the world. And then two, how he's balancing war and construction of the White House. Funny, man. Funny.
Hours after lashing out once again at our country and telling us it's about time we started defending ourselves rather than rely on the United States. Now, a further blow to the US president, as tonight a judge has ordered a halt to Donald Trump's big pet project of turning the East Wing of the White House into a mega ballroom, the like of which Trump says, as he does about many things, the world has never seen before. But a case was brought, basically arguing that this was...
Just want to remind you, there's a full-blown war going on. Yeah. And Trump he's funny. He's thinking about construction. Oh, man.
being done far too quickly, that it was against the sort of historic norms and conventions of the White House. And it's been halted, at least for now, by a judge. Donald Trump is not happy at all. Yet another rant on his Truth Social account about exactly that ruling by the judge. Why is he doing this in the first place? And is anyone convinced this is anything other than an almighty $250 million vanity project? Angie Wong is US political commentator, Republican delegate from Florida. Angie, good to have you on the programme. I appreciate the $250 million is being privately funded. This is not taxpayers' money. But this is just vanity from the president, isn't it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I didn't really want to play too much of that one, but yeah, you get the gist of it, man. I just think, wow, when there's so much going on, war, bloodshed, no, let's rebuild a part of the White House at the same time. Why not? He's this money, you know, he's hilarious, man. But yeah, a couple of bits from this week. I will collate a few more and bring something fresh on Saturday, maybe even during the week. To be fair, I do a few bits and pieces on my TikTok. Like I touched on AI this week, where I came across an article where AI has become its own boss, if I can put it in those words. You know, there are a few bots were working together. The engineer has asked AI to shut down one of the bots that it's working with, and AI has refused to do so, trying to preserve the life of another bot, which is mad. But yeah, I do put out a few pieces on my TikTok as well. So yeah, man, jump on the TikTok as well, man, at JAPB_365. Yeah, stay tuned, man. I'm just posting bits and pieces everywhere, man. But guys, have a good week. And I'll catch you again soon, man. It's just a paper boy.